everybody, my name's Scott with YourPathToAdventure.com. Please check out our website. I'm here to talk about backpacking stoves that I've used throughout the years. These are my top 3 favorite stoves of all time that I've used. So the first one I want to talk about here, which is my very favorite, which is actually a wood-burning stove. A lot of people don't like wood-burning stoves because what they do is they cause soot to build up on the stove as well as on the bottom of your pot when you burn, because it's just filth from the wood. However, I keep my pot nice and clean, so to me it's not an issue. And the big advantage to this stove is that it's very lightweight, it folds up nicely, and it burns very efficiently. You don't have to take fuel with you in the woods, so it lightens up your pack. It is made out of titanium, so it's very lightweight. It's called the Vargo Titanium wood stove, the hexagon wood stove, and it is extremely efficient. What they've done is they made the stove kind of cone-shaped, so the bottom is wider than the top. And that works extremely well because what happens is when you put wood in through the door here, and then you just keep feeding the fire with wood, and that directs the heat right to the bottom of the pot, which makes it an extremely efficient stove. However, you do get the soot. I have a little bit of a defense against the soot in my pack, because what I did is I made a pot cozy, and I packed my pot in the pot cozy like that and put it in with my gear so that I don't have to worry about soot getting on it. Generally, I'll wipe down the stove when I'm out in the field as well, just to keep it dry. Or I'll put a paper towel over the bottom of it, and the paper towel will stick to the soot. And then next time when you put it on there, the paper towel just burns off. So that stores very nicely in my pack. The pot cozy, you can make these for a couple of bucks. You just buy some insulation at the hardware store. Very lightweight, very durable. It doesn't matter. They don't, you can crush them, do whatever you want to them. They're easy to replace. So this stove can also be used with solid fuel tablets, which you can easily buy at REI or something like that. I carry 1 or 2 of these with me if it's going to be a wet weekend or something like that when I'm out backpacking. So you can just drop this in here, light it, close the door, put your pot on top and go. The nice thing about the Esbits or the solid fuel tablets is that they burn very cleanly. It's not like the wood, so you won't really get a soot residue built up on the bottom of the pot here. And the only drawback to these things is that they smell very badly. I don't like the smell of them, so I tend not to use them that often unless I absolutely have to. So this stove, once it's cool, you can fold it up and it packs nicely into the pouch that comes with it. It's a little bit of a pricey stove, but in my opinion, it's well worth every penny. It folds up. You can keep matches in here or, whatever. I keep a flint and steel in here with it. That's generally how I start my fires. So you can see it's very thin. It packs down very nicely. It fits in the pack very conveniently. So this is my all-time favorite stove, and this is the one I take with me when I go backpacking on most of my trips. So the second stove I have here, this is a solid fuel stove, also known as an Esbit stove. They fold down nicely like this. You can fit several tablets of fuel in here. I think you can fit 4 or 5 in here somehow. I know I've done it. So anyways, you just put these in here and then you can fold, that's not going to fit, maybe 4 is the max. And then you can fold that down nicely. This is great for taking on day trips. If you're planning on cooking a lunch or something, you can just stick it in your back pocket, throw it in your pack. Very lightweight, very inexpensive stove. I think I spent 10 bucks on this. So you throw a fuel tablet in there, you open it up, you light the fuel tablet, stick your pot on top, and voila, you have flame, or you have cooked food. Also, this has an adjustment you can make here. You can direct the heat in a little bit more to the bottom of the pot. I feel that this stove does not work as well as the Vargo stove, and I don't feel that it's as efficient. and it seems to take, the flame doesn't seem to be as hot for some reason. And I think that is because this is all open. So what I did is I made a windbreaker out of aluminum. You can get aluminum for a couple bucks at the hardware store. Cut it into a shape, fold the edges together, and voila, you have a wind guard so that you don't have to worry about the wind blowing out your flame or cooling it too much. And the pot still fits nicely in there on the stove. And that works rather well. This stove is a little bit more prone to rain and stuff like that in bad weather, whereas the Vargo's not, because it's basically its own windshield, and the rain can't get in on the flame because it's underneath the pot, because it's a narrow top. So this is the Esbit stove. I carry this one in my car as a backup, or I'll carry it in my car all the time just in case of emergency. If I'm out at a picnic and I want to make something, that I carry food and stuff like that a lot of times in my car. So this fits nicely in my pack. Very lightweight, very inexpensive stove. The third stove I have here is one that I actually made, and this is known as the penny stove. I'll make a video or a blog post or something on how to actually make these things at a later date. They work very well. They're very convenient because you could use it in two modes. You can flip it over. You can see I used it in the past. Generally, you can put a piece of screen in here, and then you can put a piece of fuel, solid fuel on there. And I have another pot holder that I made it's made out of 3 pieces of coat hanger. And it's just 3 prongs that stick up, and you can set the pot on it and use it with the windscreen. That way it holds the pot above the flame, because the other one I have here that I use with the fuel stove, when I flip this over to fuel mode, I'll show you that in a minute. Let me show you how this works first. So what you do is you have fuel that you can buy. You can buy it at the camping store, or you can buy it at the hardware store. You pour it in here. They have fuels that you can use that you can get in the paint section that work rather well. It's white fuel or something like that it's called. So you pour it in here and you light it. You get it up above this lip. You light it. That's called priming it. And then once that top layer of fuel burns off, you drop the penny in. Be careful not to get burned. And then the penny's in there, and you can use your pot holder, or whatever you call these. I made this one. You can make them. They're pretty easy to make. Maybe someday I'll make a video or a blog post on how to make these as well. That fits nicely over there. It's very protected from the wind. There's some holes in it here to let the heat out, let the flame breathe a little bit. And that works extremely well. It's great for the rain, bad weather, stuff like that. This stove burns very well, very clean, very hot. You don't have to worry about the bottom of the pot getting the soot on it or anything like that. The disadvantage is you got to carry fuel with you, and you have to make sure that you have enough to last on your trip. So the longer your trip is, the longer your fuel, or the larger your fuel needs to be. Same thing with the Esbit stove. You got to carry fuel. Whereas the Vargo, you don't have to carry fuel. If you're worried about rain or wet, finding dry wood, you can always carry some Esbits if necessary, but I generally don't unless I know it's going to be really rainy. And even in the rainy season, I've never had bad luck finding dry wood enough to get this to work very well and cook all my food. So this is a simmer ring, and what you do is before you light the stove, you can put the simmer ring on. This is made out of a beer can, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. So you put the simmer ring on here, and then when you put your pot over it, the flame's actually cooler so that it burns. You can actually simmer the food and cook it longer, so you don't actually have to worry about burning it. Whereas if you take the simmer ring off and then you put this on, the flame's a lot hotter, so depending on what you're cooking, you might have to be concerned about burning it. So that is my presentation, my first video on backpacking stoves, and I will have a lot of videos and blog posts to follow. Please visit my website, yourpathtoadventure.com. I have a forum on there, and you can go on there and create your own blog and start blogging about your own adventure gear or your own trips or whatever you want. We have a community of outdoor adventurists. You know, we have meetups that we have like activities and stuff where we all get together and we go on trips together, we do hikes together. Again, the website is yourpathtoadventure.com. So jump on the website, shoot me an email, ask me questions. You know, if you have something that you're interested, that you want me to blog about or post in the forum, or any questions, post them in the forum and I'll get back to you. Thank you. Take care.